I'm a tech support worker at a children's school. After what I found in the school files, I'm never going back to my job. When I started to work as a tech support guy at a school, I was expecting a boring old job where I sat in my office on most days. I never could have predicted the horrifying truth that this school was hiding from the public. My job is to travel to different schools in the district and fix technical problems. This summer, they bought iPads for every classroom, which I had to configure and set up. Today I had a call from a teacher, Julie, who said she had a weird filter on one of her iPads. I figured some kid must have just swiped into some camera filter and the teacher wasn't able to switch it back. I didn't know that the reality was much more horrifying than that. It was a short drive, so it was perfect. I brought up the barcode of the app the kid was using, and I saw that the code was 62255. I asked the kid what app she was using, and she told me she was using an app called Smile Pretty. Weird. I'd never seen that app, and this is when things started to get even more strange. I looked at the iPad, and at the very last page I saw an app called Smile Pretty, and the app logo is this creepy, twisted, toothy grin, almost like something that a horror illustrator would draw if he was commissioned with a kid's picture. I opened it up, and noticed it worked just like the camera app. I thought maybe somehow this app slipped through the admin lock on it. I went to delete it, and it just wouldn't. So I told Julie to just not use that app. That's when she said that the other camera apps don't work. When I tried to open one, I got an unusual message that I've never seen before. There was just a small window that said, "File corrupted," in letters that are almost reminiscent of a Windows 95 font. Computers do not just switch font styles like that. Thinking it must be a system malfunction, I go to put the iPad in my bag and take it to my desk to open up and look into the motherboard. That's when Julie stops me and tells me that she wants the iPad. She just wants the weird filter taken off. I'm perplexed, but also annoyed with myself for not even acknowledging the initial problem. So I open the app and look into the photos folder. It looks like she has taken a picture of every single kid in the building, not just her class, pretty much everyone. She must have been testing things out, or who knows, teachers can be overly excited sometimes. Anyway, I'm scrolling through the pictures and I'm not seeing any weird filters. That's when she says, "It's only on when the camera is front-facing." I didn't believe her at first, but then I went to the front face folder. I was caught off guard by that name. Just front face, it just felt off to me. So I looked, and there are a few selfies of Julie. However, each one definitely had a filter, but no filter I've ever seen. Her eyes in each picture were blacked out, not in the sense of black spots or the censorship bars. I'm talking that her eyes literally looked carved out of her head. Where her eyes should have been was this dense and dark cave of black, and her mouth, God, her mouth was twisted. It actually looked like her mouth had been twisted into this incredibly eerie smile. The bottom lip seemed to disappear into her chin, while the corners of her mouth drew up the sides incredibly high, all while not having a single tooth. There were no teeth visible, and no eyes. I'd be lying if I said I didn't get extremely freaked out, so I took a deep breath and tried to focus. This has to be some weird, ghoulish type of camera app that a kid installed because he saw it on Twitter or something. I look closely and see a small watermark in the corner of one of the selfies. The number, 62,255 inches, in red font. At first, this didn't even faze me. I thought it was just an iPad watermarking the asset tag. No big deal. I thought this was an app one of the administrators loaded to mess with people. I told her it was late in the workday and I would remote in and see what I could do tomorrow. So I drove home, and as I'm driving, that's when I get this instant set of chills. I remember that the asset tag number is never entered into the iPad. It's just scanned and kept on record in an Excel spreadsheet, and we put a piece of tape on the iPad to mark it. How the hell was that photo watermarked? How the hell? So I've spent the last few hours researching. The app is not documented anywhere. Nobody has ever heard of it. Not in the tech threads, not on any type of thread or forum. Nobody has ever heard of it. However, I did find the app logo. That stupid weird grin. I found it on some pretty sketchy paranormal site. It was just a black screen with only that picture in the center, nothing else at all. But then I noticed one small glimpse that made me walk away from my computer. Then 62255, there it is, on a sidebar, scrolling constantly over and over again. I couldn't believe it. I was terrified. What the hell was going on? I ran some commands in the terminal to see if there was a site source, and it got even worse. The site IP address is coming from the servers at that school. The next thought in my brain was, what's the number's significance? Then I started thinking, no birthdays or family deaths those days. The building's open dates are nowhere near those. The closest opening of a building in our district to that was in 1943, which is the office I work in now, not the iPad building. Then it pops up on my search page. June 22nd, 1955. 29 people dead, 28 children. Children were found electrocuted. Teacher suffered a massive heart attack. All schools in our district were closed the 55-56 school year. Not a single class was held, and that is all I could find. The rest of the article was blacked out, almost like all those classified articles from government shows. I was absolutely terrified. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. I hesitated before looking at the screen. A new text message from an unknown number. "Do you like what you see?" I didn't respond. My hands were trembling, but then the phone buzzed again. "Smile pretty, and don't forget to use the front-facing camera." My heart raced. I switched on my phone's camera, hesitating to switch to the front-facing mode, but curiosity overpowered me. When I finally dared to look, my reflection on the screen wasn't my own. It was a child with hollowed eyes, a child with an eerie, twisted grin, mouth gaping without teeth. I quickly dropped the phone, gasping for breath. The phone buzzed on the floor, one last time, displaying another message. "See you soon."